Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that everybody understands, this is also now moving. Let me get back up to the dais real quick. So this is something you've probably never seen before because we have moved codes enforcement from underneath the police department and moved it into a town responsibility. And the codes enforcement officer will be working right here out of the town and not out of the police department. Still get lots of help and backup from the police department at all times. So we look forward to this.
And the neighbors.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We're gonna get some signatures on that later on. Next item of business, council briefing. Van, you have,
I think we've got a full agenda. Y'all got a pretty comprehensive briefing last month, so I think we're fine.
nothing new to add? Everybody's good?
Yes,
Any
sir.
questions from anything? No good? We're gonna move. We're gonna move then to our next, is we have proclamations. So they're saying they saw the boat gone. You got anything you can add
No.
to?
I thought it's still
The
there.
shrimp boat's still there?
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there yesterday.
No, and I walked this evening and stuff, there's about.
Todd must have been out. That's there.
I quickly went around.
I saw it, I walked it
So-
an hour ago.
The next item is we have a proclamation for the Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. I will read this aloud. Is there somebody here to please come forward? And give us your names, please. for the-
Hi, I'm Sally McAllister, and I'm on the Board of Directors of the Hopeful Horizons.
Kappa?
Hi, I'm Chris Wilbury, and I'm the volunteer coordinator with CAPA.
Thank you both for being here. So we've got a proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Whereas South Carolina future prosperity is dependent on the nurturing and health and development of the 1.1 million children currently residing in the diverse communities across our state. And whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing home and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas in fiscal year 2022, there were 9,031 children in sustained investigation of child maltreatment in South Carolina, and whereas child abuse is a public health issue with serious societal consequences, as data shows, the link between the abuse and neglect of children and wide range of costly medical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral problems into adulthood. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect must be the priority that requires individual families, youth service organizations, faith-based groups, business, government agencies, and everyone that makes up our community to support the physical, emotional, and educational development of our children and their families. And whereas effective child abuse prevention exists in the communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting, and the child development and concrete resources they need to cope with the stress and the nature and nurture of their children, help to ensure that all children can grow to the full potential. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Port Royal, South Carolina, in conjunction with Hopeful Horizons Child Abuse Prevention and the CAPA, in support of service programs around the state, designate this month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, while urging all citizens to dedicate themselves to protect the quality of life of every child.
Thank
Give this to
you.
Thank you very much for all that you do.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask council for a motion to amend the agenda so that the citizens know what we're going to be taking up tonight. First readings, ordinance 2022-22, an ordinance to rezone .11 acres of property from T4 Neighborhood Center to T5 here at 711 7th Street. We received an email late this afternoon to pull this from the agenda. I'd like a motion to amend the agenda to remove that item.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. That item has been removed. And we'll go back to the regular agenda. Next item of business is public comment. I have a bunch of different people that have submitted. I've grouped them into areas of concern, and I'll address them in that way so that they'll all focus on the same thing. But first of all, Jim Ferry. Jim, all right? Do you want to hold your comment if it ever comes back? So I'm going to put this one aside. Okay. So, Ian Scott, affordable housing. Welcome, Ian.
Mayor, council, thank you all for allowing some time to speak in public tonight. I appreciate the opportunity. Affordable housing is the topic I want to address, and the fees associated with development that contribute to the unaffordability of the housing we have in the region. Median income in our region, the Beaufort, Port Royal area, $32,500. Working to grow it, working to diversify this region's economy, grow higher wage jobs so that more people can afford to live and work here. The consistent thing that we hear at the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce from every employer in every sector is their biggest challenge is the ability to hire and retain staff. And the biggest challenge to hiring and retaining staff is the cost of housing, cost and availability of housing. The tree ordinance you all are reviewing tonight, I believe, will add cost to housing, particularly to that workforce attainable housing that we are so desperately needing, that missing middle, those duplexes, townhouses, smaller footprint homes that help a person get from a rental into something they own, build some wealth, and build some stability for their family. It's a major priority, not just for us at the Chamber, but I know for the town as well. You all have contributed to the Affordable Housing Fund that the county has put together. This is a region-wide challenge, and I know it's difficult to balance the multiple priorities we all hold dear. Protecting trees is also an important priority. It's certainly an important priority for us. It's an important priority for a lot of businesses. I don't envy the position you're in, and I understand from prior conversations that you all are poised to adopt the tree ordinance as it's written tonight. My request is that you would consider also committing tonight to a review within 6 months to make sure this is not, in fact, limiting the kinds of responsible infill development and affordable housing opportunities, workforce housing opportunities that I believe we all genuinely want to see happen in this region. So that's the request. Would you consider, as you move forward tonight, assuming that happens, with the tree ordinance, make sure we're not adding undue burden to the cost of delivering new housing into the market with the fees at the rates they're currently set.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Next, Paul Trask, tree ordinance.
Good evening, council. Actually, if I may, could I speak to Caleb Hardage first? That's really was my intent first. I'm happy to speak to the tree ordinance if you prefer.
Where is the
It's under resolution, so it's an agenda item. And I don't think he's gonna take much of time for the Caleb, if you'd like to leave and do that real quickly.
Do you want to do it now or when we do the resolution?
Sure, I'd like to do it now, if I may.
Okay.
So, Caleb, I see you
Caleb, can
sitting
you come
back
forward?
there. And I just wanted to tell you, as an Eagle Scout myself, I think we could use a lot more scouts. And I see you hold the rank of life now.
Yes, sir.
And I know you're working on your Eagle, and I hope you get it. And I saw you on the agenda, and I brought a patch for you from the 1973 Jamboree that I attended when I was about your age. So I hope you'll just add that to your patch collection.
Thank you, I definitely.
There you go.
Paul, do you want to speak on the tree ordinance now? Before you sit back down?
Okay, which is really why I came, but I'm glad that I saw Caleb on the agenda. So I think the tree ordinance is something that really needs to be addressed here. The town of Port Royal is truly blessed with landmark and specimen live oaks in particular. So they're, just in my personal view, perhaps there's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction over the unfortunate cutting of the tree that received so much publicity several months back. I think the Chamber of Commerce has adopted, sent you a letter and has made some very reasonable recommendation. The town wants to grow its commercial base, which is needed. And I think there should be a balance struck. Landmark trees absolutely need to be protected. Sometimes it is necessary to remove a specimen tree, and those trees can be mitigated. I've planted a number of live oaks over the years. We planted out in Burton around the Landmark building. They're now quite large. They're about 30 years old. About 20 years ago, I planted some trees around the Green Street pool, which are now quite large and substantial. Broad Street was a neighborhood development that I was involved in some years ago, and those oak trees that we planted there 25 years ago are now quite substantial. So it can be done. The other point I'd like to make is that trying to protect trees which can become a nuisance, large pine trees, insurers often have a problem with large pine trees. Water oaks, whether they're pin oaks or laurel oaks, but I just sort of classify them as water oaks, they become a real problem as they get big and they become dangerous. And I would encourage the town not to place the same standards on those type of trees as you would on your live oaks, magnolias, and the trees that we all hold dear. So I think that your revisions to the ordinance that I've seen are constructive, and I just hope that council will find a good balance in protecting the assets of the town and facilitating the development that the town wants. So that's what I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Wendy Czar. Or Zara, sorry. Been saying your name long enough, I should know how to say it right.
Good evening, I'm Wendy Zara, I live on 14th Street. I want to thank you for all the work that you've done on the tree ordinance. You've put a lot of time into it and trying to figure out how to make it better and how to make it so that it actually works. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. And I also want to echo what Ian said. Am I allowed to use the word affordable housing when I'm talking about the tree ordinance? And I've mentioned this before in talking about this tree ordinance. It's terrible for affordable housing, and we do need to figure out how we're going to make it work so that we can have more affordable housing, along with some other incentives that I think would be great if the town would provide. So I just wanted to mention that, and thank you, and thank Noah and also Michael Murphy, who his expert advice I think has been really helpful. Thank you.
Hank Hofford? Hank, how do you pronounce your last name?
Hofford, H-O-F-F-O-R-D.
I couldn't tell if that was a D or an F. Thank you.
I'm an Eagle Scout also, so congratulations. Just asking you. I bought some tree surveys on 2 pieces of property. We'll just take one and pass it around. On 2 pieces of property that we own. One of them everybody's well aware of, which is the Anchor Park. My partner Taylor Spencer's here. And I've been working in South Carolina for about 40 years or more. And first of all, I wanted to just remind everybody that we opened this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and the last 4 words are liberty and justice for all. So I'm looking for some level of liberty and justice going forward here. I'm here to request that you reconsider passing the new tree ordinance. I am a property owner and a taxpayer. I live in James Island, but I come down here every week. Both of my parents are buried around the corner in the National Cemetery, and I've been coming here since the 1960s. I have 2 2-acre sites in downtown Port Royal. One of them is by the Dollar General store, and one of them's the Anchor Park. Both are heavily treed. The new ordinance will eliminate the plans we have been working on to build 20 to 30 workforce level housing on these sites. We just heard previously about the need for workforce housing. The cost of the mitigation under your new ordinance, it was already expensive and prohibitive, but protective, and we were working around your current ordinance. To read the new one, pretty much we'd just throw all of our plans in the trash and probably not do anything for a while until things settle down. But anyway, it eliminates the opportunity to proceed for us. I am an outdoorsman, and I've been involved in conservation easements on over 5,000 acres of land in South Carolina. I've planted thousands and thousands of trees, 2,000 trees myself with 2 other men, and all grown up. So trees can be planted and can grow, and some of the trees that are on my property are aging, and water oaks that will be breaking and falling apart. Water oaks get hollow in the middle over time, and pine trees generally are going to fall over. You saw one at the Masters this weekend. I'm also a builder, and I've built over 500 homes in my career, and I've planted thousands of trees. So we always plant trees around the homes. But I actually now have homeowners asking me not to plant pine trees or oak trees in their yards because they don't want somebody to tell them what to do with their trees. The current proposal does not take into account the conditions of the trees and the species, which sometimes can be a hazard and a liability when they get older, water oaks and pine trees in particular. After Hurricane Hugo, I spent 2 years cleaning up, and repairing damage from mostly pine trees and water oaks that had fallen on homes. I would ask that you take a more common sense approach to the fee structure. The current fees will eliminate the value of land for many of your citizens and will likely stop any future building of affordable housing. This is a deal stopper. It's just not something that can be absorbed. Everything's so expensive to start with, whether it's impact fees, the land itself, the construction cost, the site development fees, and now double and triple tree fees. The fee structure will take projects out of any level of feasibility and prevent affordable growth going forward. This ordinance falls into a takings category and will likely result in a legal challenge. I don't plan on doing that, but I just anticipate that this will have that sort of an impact on property owners. I respectfully request that you reconsider and consider taking more time to understand the impact of this current proposed ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. Oh, one more? I have another one on 7th Street. Want to talk about that tonight? We pulled it from the agenda.
I know, I still want to talk about it.
Okay, so it's a non-agenda item, so I'll get you at the end, okay? Along with the other non-agenda item. I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Okay, tree ordinance, Grant.
Hello, my name is Grant McClure. I work for the Coastal Conservation League. I'm a project manager. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the town's new tree ordinance. The Conservation League commends the town of Port Royal for working to adopt a robust tree ordinance that can be a model for municipalities in the region. These new standards are specifically designed to incentivize the preservation and replanting of trees rather than simply paying a removal fee. The meaningful increase in the fee that must be paid to remove trees helps to further incentivize the exhaustion of all other alternatives prior to allowing tree removal. So it's the increased cost is really a way to encourage replanting where possible, so that developers don't elect to simply pay the fine and then build. So it's a way to encourage alternatives. The Conservation League we commit to working with the City of Beaufort as they're also working through form-based code updates over the next 6 months to help accomplish Goal 6 of the Northern Regional Plan, which is to align environmental standards across the region. Thank you for your willingness to be a leader in protecting our natural resources, community quality of life. And I appreciate your time and consideration, and I look forward to seeing the new standards put into place. I know a lot of hard work has gone into them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bergman?
Hi, I live on Edinburgh. Thank you for your time and dedication. This has been a long road we've all been involved in, and I appreciate your effort and the fact that you've involved us, the community. So as a member of this community, I do appreciate that there are many factors to balance, and I have been a developer of a very small infill project in North Carolina. I know from the spreadsheets that we worked with that it is only too expensive if it doesn't give you enough ROI. And a 200-year-old live oak cannot be mitigated. It can be replaced in 200 years. I strongly urge you to reach for the very highest figures. I know you've already come up and down and around. I'm going to continue for the public record to say I at least double what is currently proposed, because you can always reduce it in the future. It's impossible to raise. Mr. Ian's idea of a review in 6 months to me feels like a good idea, and my guess would be that there would be no deleterious effects on development because of a strengthened tree ordinance. In fact, it would bring more discerning people to the town, which is higher figures will filter out the less discerning and the less, dare I say, greedy, and I find that a good thing. I also strongly urge you not to include exemptions or different fee structures for commercial zones. The scientific benefits we all know about, trees offering energy savings, CO2 absorption, air quality, stormwater runoff, aesthetics that increase real estate values, and other benefits we don't even have measured yet, they're not offered by the trees based on where the trees are or the zoning of where the trees grow and how they benefit us. When we remove trees from any zone, their benefits are lost to the entire community and the entire landscape. And when we retain the trees, the entire community receives their benefits. I understand that part of your job is to weigh the impacts of all you do on the community as a whole. So thank you for listening to us all, and again, for your service. And I, too, look forward to a strengthened tree ordinance for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else before we move on? Please come forward.
Good evening. Courtney Worrell. I'm here with a couple hats tonight, but first and foremost, on behalf of the Chamber's Low Country Land Council, I wanted to thank you all for listening to our concerns and making efforts to address them. As it was originally written, we had significant concerns about how the tree ordinance would impact future growth in the town of Port Royal, and we appreciate the changes that you've made to the current draft. And you've heard a lot tonight. Various people have said things about balance. We certainly understand that y'all are tasked with balancing, protecting our natural resources, of which trees are certainly an important part, setting the stage for responsible and reasonable growth, and growing the town's tax base. We also understand that it's very easy to paint all investors and developers with a broad brush of seeking to spoil the land and clear-cut every parcel imaginable. And certainly there are those people out there that do that. But that's not us. That's not the Low Country Land Council. We're not those people. We represent a wide group of individuals who are locally involved in the development and redevelopment of property, and we do so with the mindset and the desire to protect trees and try to incorporate them as much as possible into our developments. So for those of us who seek to be responsible from the outset, we appreciate the concessions that have been made to better address how tree protection is handled in the specified commercial corridor districts. Then from a 303 Associates perspective, just like you guys, we hear a lot about what people want in town. They want a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, Starbucks, Krispy Kreme, you name it. You've probably heard it. One thing that all those companies look for, they all look for the same thing, and that's the number of rooftops, the median income, and the municipality's vision of future growth. So I appreciate that the changes you've made to the current draft of the ordinance, rather than allowing Port Royal to shut the door, the adjustments you've made to the current draft help keep the door open and send the message that Port Royal is welcome and open to responsible commercial business. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go back to the agenda. Van, second readings.
Yeah, obviously, we had a workshop on Monday. We all discussed several items relative to amending or making changes to the existing tree ordinance. What you have in your folder is the amended or some suggested language relative to some exemptions. Noah, do you want to do a quick summary of those, or if you can bring it up?
If you could bring it up on the screen, I neglected to print it out for myself, but.
Want a copy?
just scroll down to the highlighted areas. So real quickly, I added a definition for commercial use that reflected what was recommended by our attorney. Did tweak it a little bit to cover any type of residential use as defined in the zoning code, rather than just single-family duplex and townhouse as it was laid out before. So it reads that any commercial use is any use of a property for a principal use of operating a business as defined in the Code of Ordinances, excluding any residential use as defined in the zoning code that may be operated for the object of gain, benefit, or advantage by way of rental income. Scroll down. I removed the requirement for a pruning permit for specimen-sized trees, so just landmark. And then I added the exemption language wherein commercial uses in T4 NCO, T4 UC, and T5 Main Street are exempt from the mitigation requirements of Table 20-11, which is the tree mitigation fees that, the higher tree mitigation fees that are proposed. And I directed the mitigation for tree removals for redevelopment or development of commercial purposes are now in a separate section, section 20-10. Here is the penalties for clear cutting prior to development. So the 2-year deferral and the 5-year deferral both had a clause added at the end of the statement there to include mitigation and replanting requirements of the ordinance shall apply after the deferral period is over. And then I didn't highlight this, but if you look at the specimen and landmark trees table, per Michael Murphy's recommendation, we put a cap on the specimen sizes for laurel oaks and water oaks and sweet gums, all three of which do not reach landmark size in this draft. So laurel oaks and water oaks are no longer specimen and do not have protected status anymore after 40 inches, and sweet gum is 48. The reason for sweet gum being larger is simply that it does not experience the same kind of decay that water oaks and laurel oaks experience.
Does sweet gum even get that big?
I'm sorry? Sweet
Michael
gum?
here? Like, have you seen them that big?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was Michael's choice, not mine. Yeah.
That's fine. I'll go with him.
And then that's just, I removed town council and
I just
replaced
want to
it.
make sure we clarify. Go back to
Sure.
the specimen list and the sizes. The mitigation fees are only enforced if they fit within what's on this list.
Correct.
All trees, not just the ones
Correct.
we're talking about. But it's not that if you cut down any tree, you have to pay a mitigation fee. The tree has to fit into either
That's-
the specimen or the landmark category.
Yes. So
for
if
the
a laurel,
mitigation fee to be attached.
if a water oak is 41 inches, there is no longer a mitigation fee for its removal.
Or if it's 20 inches.
Yeah.
There's no fee associated with removing that tree.
Mm-hmm.
So tree surveys are extremely important.
Yes. Yeah.
Before you decide on whether a project is valuable, not valuable, has an ROI, doesn't have an ROI.
This is just reflecting the change from town council as the deciding body for landmark tree removals. It's now design review board. So that will be encompassed in design review for that body. And keep going.
I think that was the
Sorry
last
about,
one.
you got the only, there's two other outliers besides the commercial exemption or one other besides the commercial exemption section. Keep going, Brooke. Sorry, I think it's down at this, yeah, there it is. I added, right there at the top, I added language for tree and buffer protection zones. So we had a discussion about utility lines and how they disrupt root systems. So I added language that reads, underground utility lines that encroach into tree and buffer protection zones shall be installed using trenchless tunneling as appropriate for the soil and site conditions. That's taken directly from the Tree City USA language on tunneling. So, and then the last is the section for mitigation for those commercial uses in the zones that we decided on. That qualifying language at the beginning basically clarifies the areas, gives authority to the official, which would be the planning administrator, to determine whether the principal use of the property constitutes commercial use, and then sets up the fees, which are $100 for a landmark tree per inch and $50 for a specimen tree per inch, which is the current ordinance fee schedule. And that's it.
Thank you. Council, questions?
None.
I'll entertain a motion.
I got a question. And it just maybe I just didn't see it, but I know we talked about it. I didn't see it in the language or how it would work out, but like a mixed-use property and how
Yeah, so I didn't put a provision in that says that explicitly, but the way that this new section is laid out, it's easily interpreted
Okay,
as,
gotcha.
as
The
applying to
definitions
commercial.
that I read.
Exactly.
Okay, that's like I said, I just wanted to check that.
That provision B there
Okay.
is allowing the administrator to
Make
make
the final
the
determination.
determination, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, before we take this vote tonight, I do want everyone out here to know, this is not something that we came up with last month or the month before. This we have worked on for months and months and months. We've taken it very seriously. We all appreciate, love our town. We want to protect our town. And we did talk about the fees being high at one point, but it's easier to drop those fees if it's 6 months or a year, whatever we select, which we had already mentioned we would do, is go back and see if people weren't building in the town based on that, or, you know, we could get some statistics that prove that we were high. But, you know, those fees really are not that expensive. We have all ideas that, you know, we're doing the right thing. We know with all the information that we have gathered and what we have done to take this that seriously, I feel like I'm ready to move forward with our ordinance, 2022-20.
Entertain a motion?
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance 2022-20.
Second. I've got a comment. Is now the time for that?
We have a motion and a second. Open it up for discussion.
Can we add something in there that says we will review within 6 months, or does that need to go in this? Is that just something we,
I don't think you want it in the ordinance, but certainly it's a staff direction.
just a staff direction? Could we just, definitely don't need an ordinance, but could we in 6 months come back and?
Absolutely.
I think more than that. I'd love to see a graph of building permits from a year back, and then building permits every month moving a year forward. For
Is 6
residential
months
and
enough
commercial.
time, or you wanna do it longer? I don't know, what's the?
We'll look at 6 months and we'll look at a year.
I'll say
We'll
I
see what
also
that looks like.
would like to hear from if any citizens complaints, not just building a new house or developing, but just if there's any,
Yep.
just residents complaining.
Right, sure.
And you can prune
So
the
just
tree.
keep a tally.
You can have trees cut down based on an arborist telling us that the tree isn't any good, the tree is dead, or the tree is dying. You know, you can cut those down. You don't have to pay the fees for that. We just want to
You have a
clarify
motion, a
that.
second?
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
No, sir.
I do. I'm going to support this council in this decision. I still believe the fees are too high. I am very, very concerned about the long-term tax ramifications about construction not happening. I think we've done a lot with adding the commercial. I commend them very much in taking that seriously, looking back, and that's one of our goals. So I think that's good, but I will support this council. I will vote for this because this is what the council wants. But I am going to be watching closely what happens to building in this area and how it affects the growth of the town of Port Royal. Trees are extremely important. I too have planted a tree 30 years ago, an oak tree on my front lawn, and it is growing. My wife might not as happy about it growing, but I am very happy about it growing.
Can't cut it
So,
down now.
can't cut it down now. It's on the list now. I have to pay a mitigation fee if I choose to take it down now, but I support this, and I support council, and I support all the work that was done, but I do have concerns, and I'll be watching very closely to make sure nothing happens.
Fair enough, sir.
And that,
Fair.
I think we all share concerns, and, you know, I support, you know, economical growth and attracting more businesses in the community as well. But Port Royal will never have the the big box stores or the industrial manufacturing facilities. You know, we are tasked with protecting the culture of Port Royal and attracting the businesses that fits in Port Royal. And, you know, judging from the last census in the last 10 years, we've grown by over 33%. So people are coming, and they're not all residents, but businesses are coming. But again, it's attracting the business that fits within the scale or scope of Port Royal. And we have a responsibility to protect the character of Port Royal and also its citizens and its rich history. I also respect and support the concept of affordable housing. That's a big task all across this country right now. However, I don't consider $1,500 a month for a one-bedroom as affordable. And I've yet to see that in Port Royal or even our neighboring counties. So I do welcome and I support that, and we will do anything that we can do to support that. But again, I'm hearing a lot of affordability, affordable housing. But affordable to you may not be affordable to someone else. Is it really obtainable? And that's my stance, and that's my decision.
Great. Nothing else? I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Next.
Ordinance 2023-4, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort
Excuse me a
County
minute.
Tax District 110.
Excuse me a minute. We still have town business. Please be respectful. Thank you, everybody. May it start over, please?
Sure. Ordinance 2023-4, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 0325. This is property located at 917 12th Street. This is a typical sidewalk conveyance, and it is in compliance with their sidewalk construction policy. As you can see from the map above, in the very light color that we can very discern, which we will fix, that is the location of the sidewalk.
Very good.
All right.
What's the pleasure of council on ordinance 2023-4?
I move that we approve ordinance 2023-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. First readings. B, A has been removed from the agenda by
Yeah.
motion.
Ordinance 2023-7, an ordinance to rezone approximately 0.82 acres of real estate described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 9, parcel 16, located in Beaufort County, South Carolina, to be rezoned from T4 Urban Center to T4 Urban Center to include manufactured homes and individual lots, overlay zone standards. This is at 1301 H.E. Smalls Court. The Metro Planning Commission did not support the recommendation. I think we've got some background from the applicant. We have the applicant here that can address any additional questions. I know we discussed it in depth at the last workshop. And as you can see, the property in question is in the green shape there, and what you see next to it with the black dotted line is the existing mobile home overlay district. So it is contiguous, adjacent to the existing overlay.
Council, want to hear anything from the applicant, or what's the pleasure of council? Yeah, we heard from him at the workshop. this
Heard from the
morning.
residents too, the
We heard
neighbors.
from the resident. He was happy. He was good with it. He lives right next to it.
Two
What's
of
the
them.
pleasure of council?
I'll make a motion, we adopt ordinance 2023-7.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Ordinance 2023-6, an ordinance to approve the participation in the South Carolina Local Revenue Services. We all adopted the model ordinance for business license that was passed by the state legislature. The Municipal Association of South Carolina is recommending passage of this to be consistent with the language that's in the legislation.
What's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve ordinance 2023-6.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? The license fees have been going well. Haven't heard any complaints, any issues. Collections are on target. Everything's good.
I think we are. And it's hard to project a lot of it because it's
Need a full
rear
year?
loaded, but I think we're fine.
Good. In that case, I'll call for the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Resolutions. 2-2023, a resolution regarding non-discrimination on the basis of disability as established by Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act as amended in the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, which is the ADA. As recipients of federal dollars through the Community Development Block Grant, we're obligated on an annual basis to pass this resolution.
This is a yearly thing. What's the pleasure of council?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2-2023.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right. Next is 3-2023. This is the fair housing resolution. And just like the previous, we are required to do it as recipients of federal dollars.
Make a motion to approve resolution 3-2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. It's unanimous.
And the next is 4-2023, which I believe you have a copy of, and this is to recognize the efforts of Caleb Partridge on his Eagle Scout project. And obviously, read the resolution, and there we've got some pictures of what he's done there, which has been a tremendous improvement to the skateboard park.
Caleb, come on up. Before I read this resolution, explain to us the concept, what you came up with, what you ended up doing. People see these pictures, and then I will read this resolution.
So you would like me to just to explain the idea of where I was coming from?
Where did it come from? Where did you come up with this?
So growing up in Beaufort, the skate park has always been a part of my childhood. Me and my brother have always visited there. We'd stop there like on weekends, go out little family outings, and just to get out, socialize, get some fresh air, and really, be with the community. And so growing up, I departed a little bit from it, but I still have a lot of very close friends that are still a part of the skate park. Now, what I wanted to do is, for my Eagle Scout project, is do something that would involve the community and also help it at the same time. So putting these parking barriers up was a way to provide safety for the people at the skate park because vehicles now have a place to go, and now it's no longer a mayhem being inside of there. And I got this idea also from talking to the people there. They said that parking there was always a concern for others, and they had nowhere to go. And so what I did is I also had the schools in Beaufort County, each one that I would go to, paint a board, as you see they're cut out on there for the each post, and each school got to represent their own school and get their voice out. So I reached out to preschools, middle schools, private schools, high schools, and they all got a chance to speak out and represent for themselves. And so that was my way of involving the community and protecting it and doing what I could to just be a part of the community in the best way that I could.
Well, we thank you for that. And in recognition of that,
No, I was just gonna say, I remember he came to Parks and Rec, and that's how it all started, and I was at that meeting. It's very impressive. He's done this all by himself. It's a great thing. The world needs more Caleb Armstrongs.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
I commend you as well. I walked out there and I walked the grounds on yesterday and I looked at each of them. It was very tastefully done. I like the idea of the barrier that is created also. And not only that, the sense of community again, where everyone is welcome. So again, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. It is definitely an improvement. It's beautiful, and, we know that your heart is in our community, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, it
Thanks
is.
for picking Port Royal.
Yeah.
You could have done a project anywhere, so
That's
thank you.
right.
Right, thank you.
so in recognition, a resolution recognizing the hard work that Caleb Harding at the Town of Port Royal Skate Park. Whereas Caleb Harding is working towards his Eagle Scout rank and becoming aware of the skate park's need for parking barriers. And whereas Caleb approached the town about his project and idea to install parking barriers at the skate park in order to provide a safer place for skaters and from other vehicles and accidents. And whereas Caleb worked with the town planner on an agreeable design contacted sponsors for material donation, contacted local artists, art classes, and area schools to provide artwork on the skateboards, decorated barriers, and install the barriers with the assistance from his friends. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the town of Port Royal recognizes the extraordinary effort that Caleb contributed to the installation of the parking barriers at the skate park, and is greatly appreciative to the work he performed at the skate park, which provides a significant recreational opportunity to both kids and adults in the town of Port Royal.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can post it. Yeah, so we.
That way, we're gonna get a little picture.
Ready? You guys want to squeeze in the back?
Get behind me, wait 1 second. Kevin, Jerry,
Sure.
you good?
All right.
I'm so sorry.
Hey,
No,
come
you're
on,
fine.
go, Mom, go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb.
Next item.
Yeah, council action, we need to formally appoint Lisa Graham as the town clerk. So we need a motion for formal.
I move that we appoint, oh gosh,
Lisa Graham?
Lisa Graham as our new town clerk.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We met the other night. Thank you for joining us. We haven't scheduled your way with these meetings yet.
No,
right? You're
no,
still
no.
going? We're
Not at
good?
all.
That's good. What's the pleasure of council? All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And the second item is the approval of the roadway paving contract. Y'all had a presentation from Brooke at the workshop, giving a summarization of the two bids that we received, one from APAC and the other from Blythe. The second bid from Blythe was $2,032,982.05, including milling, and that is the recommendation of staff for approval.
I move that we approve the, oh, you hadn't called it, that's weird.
That's okay.
Approve the recommendation for staff, to, award milling contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
No, just remember my comments.
Thank you. One item, we do get the building material?
Yes,
We get the spoils?
we'll get the spoils.
Well, I think that's good. Might help Caleb's little parking project right there.
Well, yeah, I wanted to mention during that, I've been working with an attorney who has a couple of kids that use the park, and he's willing to split the cost of the material to fill from the road's edge up to those barriers.
Oh, very good. We'll get that, we'll get that even further. The other thing that I think it's important to point out, that the project is currently, the bid is under budget, which is always a very interesting thing this time in this environment, so glad to see that as well. So, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. It's unanimous. We're getting the roads paved. Yay! Yeah, I agree. Important dates, we got a big list.
Yeah, Saturday, April 15th, Soft Shell Craft Festival from 11 to 5 p.m. on Paris Avenue. Got anything you want to add to that? We have plenty of crafts.
Yes, we have plenty of crowds, plenty of food vendors.
Good
We've
weather.
received so much feedback. I'm feeling like this is gonna be a really big one, so.
It was
We've already done the
discussed on the
weather look?
Intercoastal podcast.
Yes.
It came out, so yeah, it's on podcasts everywhere. So.
Yeah, we're excited for this year. There's a new resident that moved from Florida and does sand sculptures, and we'll actually be doing a sand sculpture for the event, down by the kids area. You'll see that, and, yep, just 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come on out.
Current weather forecast, 80 and sunny.
Gorgeous. Yes, I'll take it.
We'll take that one.
Monday, April 17th at 5 p.m. is the Metro Planning Commission at the City of Beaufort at 1911 Boundary Street. Tuesday, April 18th at 4:30 p.m. is the Redevelopment Commission meeting right here at Town Hall. Saturday, April 22nd is the Air Show After Dark Party, 6:30 to 9 p.m. That's going to be right over here on 8th Street near the Shed parking lot. Saturday, April 29th birthday for the birds from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Cypress Wetlands. Scott, you got anything else you want to say about that? Or you good?
Everybody come.
All right, good.
We'll be there.
Also on Saturday, April 29th, the police department's spring fling will be from noon to 2 p.m., so you can leave the bird birthday party and go right over there. It's at Live Oak Park. And also on Saturday, April 29th, is the Zen Spring Fest from 11 to 4, right across the street here. And I think that's everything.
That's not it. April 26th. That's my birthday.
We definitely don't want to miss that.
We won't miss that. But it sounds like on April 29th, you can show up at Port Royal at 9 a.m. and you can stay all the way to 4 o'clock in the afternoon and have something to do. And you can walk the entire day doing all of that stuff.
And we have the ZBOA zoning board meeting on May 1st.
May 1st.
At 5:30? 5:30.
All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment for items that were not on, no, they said no. Items that were not on the agenda, and 907 7th Street, Alice. She left. Nope, still there? Sorry, didn't see you. Okay, so this is a non-agenda item.
It is, and, I think, and thank y'all for letting me come up to speak. I've been preparing for it all week and didn't realize that it was going to be dropped this evening, but I did want to share this with you, share with the council members. This is just what I'm going to read to y'all tonight, and then a couple of letters from the neighbors and how they feel about, because I hear that they're.
We'll put it in the record, there's only one.
Thank you. That they're not going to ask for a zoning change for right now, but they may be coming back and asking that the building be 3 stories and not 2.5 stories. So, just wanted to share with y'all what my thoughts were. So, as I was going through things, 911 7th Street is the lot that a real estate office is going to be put on. And my question about what's going on right now is the sign that's there, the 4x8 sign. Is that allowed to be there on that property? Does that comply with the current zoning?
We'll have our newly sworn-in code enforcement officer take a look at that.
Look out.
And give you that answer.
Awesome. Okay.
Sorry
All
to
right.
throw you on the...
Who are you? So T4NC current zoning, just thinking about the street itself, it's a one-way narrow street, and once the second phase of the sidewalks begin, the street will even be smaller in its width. One way, there's signage that says one way. We have a lot of drivers that don't read the signs and they drive the wrong way on 7th Street. So we're what's that? That's our one-way street. Okay. So, just talking about that we have children and pets and, and like our neighbors on 11th Street, it's not a racetrack. And sometimes I wonder if people can read, and if so, show some respect. I wanted to talk about the history of the houses, and of course mine's the newest one, my little tree house, built in 1993. But you have 910 7th Street that was built in 1922, and 902 7th Street, 1911, and then Carl Twingy's house is beside me, and I'm not sure. I reached out to Carl to find out what the age of his house is, but I haven't heard back. Just wanted to talk about all of the neighbors and families that own homes on 7th Street. They worked very hard to make the improvements, and some homeowners went into full restorations to preserve their houses and their investments. And of course, we love our town and love our street. I will speak for myself, and hopefully my neighbors will agree, that we do not desire to have 7th Street turn into a Bay Street downtown Beaufort. And by the way, Bay Street Beaufort has 2 lanes for all of their retail businesses. Did I mention I grew up here? Yes, that's right. I'm a native, and I love my town, our town. I think, just like the tree ordinance, the zoning for neighborhoods needs some attention to protect the people and their property. The gentleman that spoke at the workshop last week was like, all streets belong to all of us. Maybe this 4-story building, because at that time that's what they were talking about, should be 2 doors down from his home. After all, He is on a two-way street, like downtown Beaufort. I'm not here to make enemies, just trying to make sense of it all. There is already a zone in place that allows for a 2.5-story building. The square footage would be approximately 2,500 square feet. What can happen if this rezoning is passed? Because I was still focused on, like, if they were to pass the rezoning. So I talked about 0 setbacks, that the building height could be up to 4 stories. You got people going down a one-way street the wrong way. You're going to increase the traffic on this street. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out where are these people going to park when this business does open. So if you build, where are you going to park? And the fact that, well, that was just with zoning change, so I'm going to have to scratch some of the things that I wrote. I think my other question was that have the owners actually met with an architect or an engineer? At the workshop, the representative of the, okay, yeah, I see. All right, I'm not going to go into that either. If I'm not mistaken, someone at last week's workshop, that is a member of the Metropolitan Planning Commission, spoke. They voted to no zone change for that parcel, and in fact, the Metropolitan Planning vetoed the zoning change request. If there is a zoning change, just to think about it for a minute, if there is a zoning change, every lot on both sides of every street that join Paris and Main Street could ask for the same change as well, and this will set a precedent. How long will it continue to creep down our streets? What is the next shiny object to be rezoned? So I was all on the rezoning thing, but then too, I started thinking about zoning in general and the tree ordinance, and I was like, well, maybe the zoning should be revisited. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. John, Norman? John? Evening again. State your name.
Mr. Mayor, I'm John Norman, Mayor, Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm going to make this very brief because I'm not really prepared. I was just made aware of the situation that was kind of shocking to me, of the apparent annexation of some property on 16th Street Extension. I live in what was known as C.C. Banner's property on 16th Street. Moved down there a few years back. My parents wanted to move to warmer weather, retire to the islands. They weren't very specific about which islands, and I chose this one. We're very happy where we live and love this town. There have been some changes lately on the street, and I'd like to address them further once I have more opportunity to research them and find out exactly what is going on. And I will address that at a later date, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
You said annexation, but did you mean easement? I think was what you wrote?
Well, it is concerning an easement.
Okay.
But it is an apparent annexation which is taking place, not by government.
Okay, an easement on 16th Street. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have anything to bring before council? Non-agenda items? Hearing none. Does council have any comments?
That's you.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We'll need a motion, and a second, and a vote because we had to change the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.